I got another video. It's Graham and he's talking to Grant Cardone about buying homes. We're gonna react to this video. I'm gonna try not to be biased. Guys, I don't really like that, and I don't really like people who sell courses. You know, because people who sell courses, for example, you sell a course for $20. You're known worldwide. You got books, stuff like that, right? If a thousand people was to spend $20 on your course, how much money is that? So to know if these guys are legit, you don't. But that's not the point. I'm gonna try not to be biased, and I'm gonna have an honest opinion.
This was a direct quote.
Direct quote.
Verbatim.
Okay.
Buying a home is one of the dumbest effing things a human can do with their money.
When we see that as like, that's one of the ways that people build.
I don't agree with that at all. Now buying it as an investment property, out of everything else you could do with that money, yeah, it is kind of dumb. But buying a home that you live in every day, I don't see that as a bad investment. You watch your kids grow up in that home. You live in that home. You make memories in that home, and the property value also increase over time. I don't think it's a bad investment at all. Now, if you're just buying it to rent it out, nah. If you develop properties and rent it out, that's way more profitable. But I don't look at it as a bad investment.
Wealth, like a vast majority of people, is when they buy their house, right?
Okay.
Can
You don't build wealth like that.
Okay, expand.
Okay. So Orange County, average home here is 800,000 bucks. Vegas is going to be 450, maybe 490. Okay. So what you're going to build? You're going to go buy a house for $500,000 in Las Vegas, 800,000 in Orange County. You're going to put 20% down.
20% down, 15, 20.
You're going to put $160,000. I'll do math on both of them. 160,000 here in Orange County, and you're going to put down what is it? 100 grand over there. That money's dead. That money could have been put in yourself. Just the down payment you could have invested in yourself, in your business. There's not.
I actually agree with him on this one. When I made that video about how you guys can better yourself, and I say live well below your means and stack every dollar, and if you save 4,000 a month, you get rid of all debt. You get your car cash. You have no debt. Maybe you have one or two kids, or you have or preferred you have no kids. You have a job paying you 60K a year. You you live well below your means. You have three people um who's paying rent with you. You got your own room. Y'all, rent is 1,500. You pay 500. You meal prep your food, so you're spending what 300 a month on food. You take the bus, or you can just pay, or if you own a car cash, you plan out gas, and you pay insurance. You could save 4 to 5K a month. You can save 4 to 5 if you cut off all expenses. You just get food, travel, phone bill, and other bills. You can save 4 to 5K a month. You put all that money aside. By the end of the year, that's 40K you saved. Do that for 2 3 years. That's 140K. And then you could put as a down payment. You could refinance and get another one cash. You could you could pay the S&P 500. There's a lot of things you could do with that, and then you could slowly grow and grow and grow, and then you're gonna be where you want to be.
Business or an individual that can't produce more revenue than a single family home sitting on 22nd Street. Okay, it just sits there. The only thing worse than investing in a house is giving money to the bank and letting them have it. Okay, the bank benefits, particularly in this environment today. Bank of America is going to charge you 8% for 10 years. Let's say you stay in that house for 10 years. You're in Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you paid $500. Okay, you put a loan on it. You put 8% on $400,000. That's 30. What is that? 32,000 a year times 10 is 320. That's your interest on the first 10 years. So you need to sell your house for 500 plus 320 to break even. You haven't paid property taxes, maintenance, nor have you counted the fact that your 100 grand was dead. It could have been invested in something else. I'm just saying, compared to other investments, S&P 500.
Yeah.
Okay, if you
Exactly. I actually agree with him on this one. I agree with him on this one. You could get a multifamily. It depends on how old you are too. If you in your forties, if you in your not forties, because if you in your forties, 4 or 5 years of taking shit seriously could change your life. But if you're in your 50s and you're getting old, I understand. You don't got time for all of that. You just trying to enjoy life while you can. The amount of life you got left, okay. But if you're in your 30s, 40s, or even younger, you should get a multifamily. Rent out the two units, live in one, and then after 2 years refinance, buy another property cash. So now the first property that you buy, all of it is profit, all of it is cash flow, and then you can stack up and get another property because now you're getting paid from two other properties, and you probably got a job, and then you can just keep doing that over and over.
I think what's difficult today is that what you're saying right now makes sense to me.
yeah,
And I agree with you completely. I think
Yeah.
right now is one of the few times just financially speaking, I don't see the benefit of buying anything right now. The last property I bought
Because
was
of
in
rates,
2020
or
because
because of-
interest rates are so high.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I look at the cost of buying versus renting,
Yeah.
renting is like half
It's
the
half
price.
nationwide.
It's insane. So
Yeah.
when I look at the two, I'm like, why buy a house right now? It doesn't
right.
make any sense
right.
financially
Yeah.
unless you plan to live there for 30 years. But as a general saying, I think for me 10 years ago, I would have said buy something. I think for a lot of people,
Well, you'd have
it's,
been
it's,
right-
a,
you'd
it's a
have been-
savings account. But
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
it's kind of skewed, I feel.
yeah.
But I think for
How many
you,
people
it's
do you know have ever kept a house 30 years?
some of the investors I used to work with. And what they would do is they'd buy a house, fix it up, move in themselves,
Okay.
live there 5, 10 years,
Yeah.
keep that as a rental, then move on to the next one.
Well, that's different. That's different. If you're fixing it up, you're adding value to the property. So remodeling could add 100K, 200K to the property value, 50K. If you're in a nice neighborhood and you have this property which is terrible, and you fix it up, the property value could almost double, maybe even more. So that, and then you're renting it out, and then the property is also appreciating every year. That's a very very high return on his profit. So that's a very smart guy who know what he's doing. See, that's the difference between everyday people and a professional. So I don't feel like that was a good
Repeat the
comparison.
process. Maybe every 5, 10 years they'll buy
Yeah,
a house.
got
And
it.
30 years they, have a few houses. So that's
It's just
been
not
my
a good
experience.
investment, man. It's not. It's period. You'd be better off buying YouTube ads.
I think when we look
You'll
at
make more money on your YouTube channel than you will on this house appreciating. This house,
right,
this
but if you
million-
look at the success and failure rates of people
but
that will try to do something like
you
that,
discount the fact that there's 40 million people in America lost money on the house between 2005 and 2012. 40 million.
But that's only if they sold.
Remember when I tell you I only get commercial for a reason, and that's because it's less competition. Everybody can get commercial. The average commercial price is 1.2 million. The average, not the average, the lowest. The, the lowest commercial is like 1.2 million. You could get a couple for 400 or 500K, but the average is like 1.2 million. So everyday people can't get into that. So that's why I do commercial because it's less competition. And what I remember I said if you're gonna get a real estate, make sure it's multiple units. It's multiple units because you need to make as much profit as you can. If you get if you're You don't want to give the bank 8% of your profit. 8% is 80% of the end of the year of your profit. 8% interest rates. An 8% interest rate could take up to 70 to 80% of your total profit of your investment. 8% of the interest rates could take up to 70 to 80% of the overall profit that the rental bring in a year. So that's not that's why I told you not to get debt like that. I told you the first two property, yeah, but the first two property you gonna have to get a loan. But after that, you should be able to stack up and buy them cash, and then you fix the property up, which is gonna make the property more valuable.
Old.
Well, dude, they
You
had to sell.
know?
They couldn't. There's still millions of homes on foreclosures. We forget all this stuff. You forget. CNBC makes sure that everybody forgets all the losses in the stock market every day. We forget about bank failures. We've had 3 major bank failures just 16 months ago. We had the biggest bank failure in the history of the United States, and everybody's forgot it like it didn't even happen.
I think a lot of that.
Oh yeah, another thing too. You guys gotta do your research about those bank failures. There's policies now that y'all don't know about. If the bank is about to fail, they could take all your assets to help to make sure that the bank to, they could take all your assets to save the bank's ass. So even if you owe $2,000, if the bank is failing, they could take everything you own, sell it to help the bank go back into business. This is why I tell you guys, you gotta know what you're doing. Some of these loan companies are now adding new things in there. If you want to pay off all your loan cash, so if you get a loan and now you want to pay the whole thing off in one payment, the, let's say it's a 10-year loan. If you wanted to just pay all the if you want to just pay all the money off, they're gonna add a 10 year of interest on to the amount you're trying to pay off cash, plus a penalty for paying it off all cash. So you're gonna be paying more. So you guys got to know this. These are the new stuff. Most of these policies are in the hard money lender, but you guys got
It's
to know
really
this
just
stuff.
bailouts. But those losses are only realized if people sell. Now, I know on paper, obviously, if you buy in 2005, you've lost a substantial amount of money
Yeah.
in 2011.
Yeah.
But for those people who held, today, they're still sitting on quite a lot of profit.
Right.
Maybe not as much as in stocks or other investments.
It's
but
not a good investment though.
I think the
It doesn't
argument is
mean-
that people have to
But
live
for the
somewhere.
average
Yeah.
person, that's what I'm trying to get at. Because if you look at, like I said, real data of the people that the number one wealth builder is your primary home, and then you compare that to the data that shows that, I don't know what percent it is, but I'm sure it's some exorbitant percent of business owners fail, right?
Yeah.
Then and you compare the two, and you're like, you should always be a business owner when the data is suggesting otherwise. Wouldn't that make sense that for the average person
The average
that maybe doesn't have the
American-
discipline, that maybe doesn't have like the motivation to continue pushing with a business and perseverance?
Because they're being told a bunch of bullshit like, hey, buy a house.
You know how we all have that one friend we go to with all our financial questions? Well, meet Experian, your BFF, as in big financial friend. Experian is going to be your go-to app when it comes to taking control of your finances. Just download the Experian app and get started for free.
Buy a house and one day you're going to be fine. Invest in an IRA, you're going to be fine. Get a 401k, contribute as much as you can. You're going to be fine. One day you're going to be fine. Social Security is going to take care of you. People are being told a bunch of lies and then they lay down and say, it's going to be fine. They said, I'm going to be fine. If I just do these things, I'm going to be all right. If I buy a house, I'm going to be.
This one I start disagreeing. Um, this one this is when the course selling guys start coming in. Your 401k is a very smart thing to do. If you add $600 and your company also adds $600, that you just made $600 for you just got $600 for free. How is that a bad deal? That's not a bad deal. Even if they add 10% of what you add, they're adding money onto what you add, which is free for you. So that's profit, and that's a tax write-off for them. So they're gonna pay less in taxes because of it. So it benefits them and it benefits you. Uh, this is when the core selling starting to come in, because that's just wrong. 401ks are very, 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 very good. Don't let him trick you. They're very, very good.
All right. But we know that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, have less than 5,200 bucks in a savings account. Okay, their IRA will not take care of them at retirement. Social Security is going to fail.
Yeah. That's another thing too. I'm gonna say this here. Um, it's their fault. If you wait till you're 30 to get your life together, listen. This is this is how unresponsible people are, or people want the short answer so quick. This is how bad people are with finances. If you started with your Roth IRA at putting 500 in your Roth IRA every month at 35, you will have 900 to a million when you're 60, maybe 2 million. That's enough for retirement. $1 million, 1 million is enough for retirement. You're not gonna live a good life. You're probably gonna be renting out a 2 bedroom, but you're not gonna be living a good life. That money gonna last you 20 years. So you're not gonna live a middle class super nice lifestyle. You're gonna have to like live scavenge and spread that money out smoothly. Most people die at 75. Most people retire at 60 and 55. So that 1 million could last you, but you gotta spend it wisely. So if most people do not have this, what did they do with their life? Why did they waste their life? Why did they take so long to do this? Th- Some stuff you can't blame the government for. We gotta be honest here. Some stuff you can't blame the government for, right? Grant Cardone himself said, "I'm not saying this." He said it multiple times. He used to be a drug addict. I think he started taking his life seriously in his 30s, maybe I don't know, maybe 40s, and look at him now. Like I said, 4 or 5 years of hard work can change your life. The only thing that cannot help you is if you in a lot of debt or if you have multiple kids. Then it's going to be extremely hard for you. But other than that, you can easily pull it off in 4 to 5 years. You're not going to be a millionaire. Well, you could be a millionaire. You're not going to be a multi-millionaire.
This country in your lifetimes it will fail.
Mhm.
Okay, the US dollar is likely to fail. People know it, yet they save it. So the reason people don't hustle is because they've been told by the government, you guys are cool. You're in the middle class.
Another lie. The U.S. dollar cannot fail. The U.S. dollar cannot fail. Other countries is using U.S. dollar to back it up. Multiple countries are. That's why U.S. dollars value so much more than every other currency. Then most currencies has most currencies is using U.S. U.S. currencies to back them. So the value of the U.S. dollar cannot drop, and it could drop, but it cannot drop significantly, or the whole world would, or majority of the whole world would. So if U.S. dollar drop, like if it was to go to zero or $2 or $3, if $100 bill was to be worth $2, multiple multiple countries and millions and millions of people would suffer from that. That wouldn't just be an American thing. That cannot happen. That wouldn't happen. That like they literally would not allow that to happen. Other countries will step in and help because that's how important and valuable that is. That will not happen at all. No, saving money is dumb because why would you save money when you could put that same money in a high yield account or in an S&P 500 account, making 10% a year? But if you just have it in your bank account, just feeling breeze, and it's not growing, then that's dumb.
You got a good job, you got air conditioning, you got your little latte, okay? You deserve happiness, okay? You got your Whole Foods account, and we might relieve your college. You got a college education, so you're better educated than most people. You got a car mortgage, like you freaking strapped up to here. You got 30% of people like failing on 33% of the American public today got a second job because they can't fund their activities. You got car delinquencies going through the roof at the all-time highs. Credit card debt highest ever. So whatever everybody's been told ain't working for most of these people, these average people that you're talking about.
So you're saying that people should
By the way, that's another lie. Two jobs to fund their lifestyle. Those people who have two full-time jobs or have two jobs usually have a lot of debt. So just to put that in there, most people who have two jobs is either stacking money for the future because they try to make an investment, or they have multiple, or they have a lot of debt, or the government is forcing them to do that because they have child support. Yeah, the government can force you to work. Yes, they can. They can force you to work. But to say that people need multiple jobs, no. All you gotta do is get a skill. You can get a decent paying job. The rent price is 1,500 to 2,000. The average salary is 40K, so that's 50% of the average salary. So if you have no debt, you can make it work.
instead of going down the more traditional route that could be more safe, but also subject to other external things such as like the government and the stability of the dollar, you think people should go for broke? Like go for broke meaning like, you know, shoot for the moon, and then if you miss, you're just in outer space somewhere, right? With nothing. You'd say that is a optimal, just fundamentally.
You could literally go for broke.
That is the better
and you would
decision.
be rewarded in this country. You could go for broke. You cannot go to jail going for broke, but you can play it safe and almost guarantee you will end up broke.
I agree that you should, that a lot of people should go for broke when they don't.
Yeah.
But with the stipulation, with the caveat that if you miss, that you continue trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely important to include that. And that's why so many businesses fail, because they try, it fails, and then they go to some, like, you know, a more stable thing where they're not a business owner or something like that. Or why 99% of day traders lose is because they just try it, they lose money, and they're like, I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to continue trying whatever, and learning.
That's a stupid business.
No, I'm just saying.
No, we're not even gonna do that right there. With day trading is the only thing that. Listen, I was a profitable day trader. Listen. I used to make 5,000 a week. I stopped because of because of the statistics. I stopped because eventually I would lose. The market changed every 4 to 5 years. It's impossible to be a day trader. That's different. That's different. Hedge funds could put a $40 million order in the market, and it forces the market to go a certain way, and you never know when they're gonna do that. That business is totally different. Totally different. He just compete. No, that business is totally different. Day trading is the only industry. No matter how hard you try, you will still lose unless you have a edge or advantage that most people don't have. Unless you can see where most orders are, where most of the volume is, and most people don't have those type of tools, because those type of tools are licensed and they're secretive. So if you can get access to them, you can be a successful day trader. But 99% of people are just looking at charts and that technical analysis. I used to make a money day trade. I stopped because of the stats, because I know eventually I would lose. Every 4 years the market change. So eventually what I was doing was stop working. So I when I was making money I stopped. I never did it again. Your chances of being successful after 6 months is 1%. A day trader is not 10%. That 10% he said a 10% chance of success. That's not true. It's a 1% chance of success. If you trade for 6 months or more, you have 1% chance of success. 1%. It's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy in manipulation. That's the only industry I tell everybody to stay out of. You could do anything else. You could even do illegal activities. You have a higher you have a higher chance of not getting caught doing illegal activities than day trading. I'm telling you, it's so manipulated. It's unbelievable. Every successful day traders had tools that most people don't have. They can see where most people orders are. They can see where most of the volume is. Look, even what's that guy name who he quit at a bank. He used to work at a bank. He was a trader for the bank. The banks had a tool. The banks had a tool to see the overall market movement, and they used to take advantage of that. And even they wasn't day trading. That's how bad it is. The people who have a tool to see where it's gonna go, and they have a higher chance of everybody else. They still didn't day trade. So that's how dangerous it is.
Like
Right.
why these fringe things are so
the get
unsuccessful.
rich quick always fails.
Exactly.
So
Business owning is also, I mean, it kind of is marketed in the same way of like, hey, you're going to be able to work from your laptop and you're going to be able to drop ship and this and that and make a bunch of money in your first year. And I think that it's really important to include that caveat that like, you're likely not going to be successful for a long time and you just have to push through all of that. And then I agree with you. I think that a lot of people could go that route. But for the average person, if we're looking at all available data, they are better off. This is what I would say, doing that. If they don't have doing the stable thing and working as
an
employee of something.
better off going to work for somebody else than themselves.
Right, and I would agree. But if they have the perseverance and motivation, then they could do the business owning route, but they just better be ready to.
No. I'm gonna react to a little bit, and I gotta stop it because it's copyright when you watch the whole thing and you don't do heavy editing. I don't edit. I react to it. I speak my mind, but I don't edit. Um, but I agree with Grant Cardone on that one. For example, my brother went to I'm not even gonna talk about my brother. Um, it was it was a article that came out with this law firm. It was a big law firm. It was big law. They were giving 250K signing bonus for new people straight out of law school, and they was looking for phenomenal talent. No, people did not take the 250K signing bonus because they was not willing to work 80-hour days, right? So that 10% of people that are successful, except for day trading, we remove day trading, but that 10% of most people not being successful, it's because of this. The group of people that do have the balls to work every day and they do not care and they know what goals they want for their future, those are the ones that outperform. Kobe said it himself. The person that works out 2 to 3 times a day cannot beat the guy who works out 5 times a day. The gap will be crazy. If somebody get a $10 more, if somebody get $10 more than you an hour, That's 3,000 more that he get a year. That's 6,000 more he get in 2 years. That's 9,000 more. You hear me? That's three. Then it's six. Then it's nine, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows. So the people who put in the most are the people that. So that's how you. Those are the people that usually wins. The people that don't care about how much they gotta work, how much they gotta do. Most people, most people have to be led. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. Everybody can have a business. That's why I agree with Grant Cardone on
Weather
this
the
one.
storm.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think statistics on that, only 20% of business owners make more than a W-2 employee.
That's right.
And they work way more hours.
Yeah,
But I do think
most,
So, yeah.
they could be successful. That small, people that are successful, I think it could be bigger
Yeah.
if they just don't give up and they learn from their failures rather than like let it absorb them and then they go to something more stable because they're so shied away
Yeah.
from it.
But what about...
last thing on the
Yeah.
house though.
Yeah,
Elon
sure.
A man who works hard sweats hard. Old Spice Strider fights sweat, so Coach thought I was slacking.
Elon owns no houses. Warren Buffett has the same house he always has. The point is, they didn't try to create wealth in this fixed asset class that does not cash flow, does not provide great tax write-offs. And historically, over the last 50 years, I don't know why people get so upset with me on this house thing because it's just not a great deal. As opposed to, now if you're not going to do anything, if you're just going to get a job, save some money, and just be a renter for the rest of your life.
Yeah, a lot of people are in debt. A lot of people are losing jobs. A lot of companies are firing. The house market eventually gonna have to drop. It has to. So it's gonna be a lot of people who lose value on their houses, but it's gonna be a couple people who gain a lot from that. And I'm waiting.
And you're
I'm
going to
waiting.
stay in the same place forever, and you know that. Just make sure you're buying in a great marketplace where there's going to be positive job growth. Only about 10% of America, there's about 10 cities in America where 90% of all the people live. The rest of these places where people live are never going to go up in value.
I think we all fundamentally agree on this once
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
kind of understanding the other person's position to the full extent.
And once we
I
get
would
through
agree,
this
yeah.
inflation issue that's being fabricated right now, we're going to, on the other side of this is going to be massive deflation.
So that leads us perfectly. You also said, Lewis Howes, man, here we go. Inflation is a boogeyman.
Yeah.
It isn't real.
Yeah.
You said that on Lewis Howes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is inflation not real?
Because you can't really measure it, right? You can measure it at the store and say eggs are too much, but I could absolutely control that by not buying eggs. Inflation was caused by the supply chains being blocked during COVID, not because money was too cheap. If I print, and your audience is going to go bonkers on this.
We'll love this.
Okay, they're going to go bonkers. So when you print $1 trillion, we put $1 trillion in this big building right here, which I don't think it would fit. We have not created, because of printing, inflation. Now, I could be wrong on this, but this is my hypothesis. Printing money does not create inflation. Now, I distribute the trillion, because if I haven't distributed, nobody knows anything happened, right? Now, I distribute, and the three of us each get 1/3 of $1 trillion.
I would love that.
Dude, what we going to do?
You're going to buy a jet?
Yeah, I'll buy a jet.
Okay.
You could buy 10 planes.
Maybe a nicer
like I have.
microphone if I really want to splurge, right?
Yeah, you can buy a media company. You could buy CNN now, bro. Okay, like to think just.
Right.
Okay, so we distribute to the three of us, but none of us spend our money. We still don't have inflation. Inflation only happens when people start using the money. Okay, now if we go invest in countries, because we got enough money now to buy countries, the entire state.
Well, inflation can be tricked too. All I ain't gonna lie, inflation is money hungry people. Yeah. So what happens is people you know how there's companies out here that buy houses? That's inflation right there. They buy houses so the house market don't drop. If the house market drop, the food market drop. If every other market gotta drop, if the house market drop, because people can't afford it. If people can't afford it, people can't afford nothing. So everything else have to drop. So what these huge companies do is they buy a whole bunch of houses, so the market can be like, oh, the value is people are still able to afford houses, and because of that, the house market increases, and that's how inflation is manipulated because there's a lot of money hungry people.
Of Hawaii. Okay. We inflate those little markets, those little pockets, but we don't inflate the whole world, Now, when you distribute money to every idiot on the planet, okay, $1,400, and every idiot says, God damn, I got to spend this money. I deserve a house. I deserve some Gucci's. Even though it's COVID and I can't even use my Gucci's except in my living room. And if I go any place, I got to be 6 feet from somebody else. That's how you cause inflation. You give idiots money to go do dumb shit with, and that's what they did. People did dumb shit with money. They inflated the cost of everything. People raised their prices, and you guys kept going back and buying stuff.
All right, guys. End the video here.